You know those people who just seem magnetic? They walk into a room and people are just drawn to them, almost without them even trying. It's so easy to look at them and think, wow, they just won the genetic lottery. But what if that's not it at all? What if that kind of attraction isn't something you're born with, but something you can actually learn? Okay, let's get into it.
This is the big question, right? This is the myth we're going to deconstruct today. The whole idea that some people are just naturally, effortlessly charismatic, and the rest of us, well, we're just out of luck. And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. The person whose work we're digging into here started with that exact same thought, that social attractiveness was just a fixed trait. But social psychology, it tells a completely different story. It shows that the most attractive people aren't just lucky, they are incredibly skilled. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to bust that charisma myth wide open. Then we'll dive into the practical skills, starting with how to make an amazing first impression. Then moving on to building a real, genuine connection. And finally, leaving a lasting impact. You're going to want to stick around because at the end, we'll unpack the one single truth that makes all of this just click. Okay, let's get this straight right from the get-go. What we call charisma, it isn't magic. It's really just a set of behaviors and habits that anyone, and I mean anyone, can learn and develop. So let's kick things off with those first few crucial moments of any interaction. These first two skills are all about what happens the second you meet someone. Okay, our first skill is a little deceptive. It sounds so simple, but believe me, in our crazy, distracted world, it has become shockingly rare. And it's this: giving the person you're with the gift of your complete, undivided attention. It's about making them feel, just for a moment, like they are the only person in the room. No phone, no looking over their shoulder, just you and them. You know, the psychology behind this is so powerful. We live in a world where everything's fighting for a piece of our attention. So when someone actually gives you their full focus, it feels special. It feels rare. And our brains are wired to see rare things as valuable. That feeling of value translates directly into attraction. All right, on to skill number 2. This is a super practical technique for something that, let's be honest, a lot of us find kinda awkward. The best part? You can start using this the second we're done here. It's called the 3-second scan. Psychologists sometimes call it the engagement cycle. So many people get eye contact wrong. It's either a super intense stare down or you're nervously looking away. The sweet spot is about 3 seconds. It's just long enough to show you're confident and engaged, but short enough that it doesn't feel creepy. So you practice this little cycle. Connect for 3 seconds, look away for a moment, then re-engage. I'm telling you, people who do this are seen as more trustworthy and more attractive before they even say a single word. Okay, so you've made a great first impression. Now what? Now it's time to deepen that initial spark into a real connection. These next skills are all about building that substance. The third skill is a big one: humor. But I want you to forget everything you think you know about being funny. This is a whole different ballgame. A lot of us think being funny means you have to be a performer, right? Like you've got jokes rehearsed and you're aiming for a big laugh. But that can feel so forced. Socially attractive people don't perform humor. They find it. They just notice something funny in the moment and share that observation. It's not about getting a round of applause. It's about creating a little shared experience, a little "we're in on this together" moment. And this really gets to the heart of it. The goal isn't to be a stand-up comedian. The goal is to create that amazing feeling of being understood. When you share a small laugh, you're really saying, "I get you. I see the world kind of like you do." And that is incredibly attractive. Our fourth skill. This one is so powerful because it taps directly into one of the most fundamental needs we all have as human beings. Just think about it. How does it feel when someone brings up a small detail you told them weeks ago? Maybe it was about your dog or a project you were working on. It makes you feel important, right? It makes you feel like you actually matter to them. So here's the key takeaway. Remembering little things about people isn't just a nice thing to do. It meets this deep, core human need to be seen and to be valued. When you casually ask, "Hey, how'd that project you were worried about turn out?" you are sending a powerful message. You left an impression on me. People who can do that, they become magnetic. Okay, now for skill number 5, which is all about the incredible power of what you don't say. We've all been there, right? That little pause in the conversation that suddenly feels like an eternity. Most people absolutely panic and rush to fill it with, well, with anything, any kind of noise or filler words. But that panic, that rush to fill the void, it just screams insecurity. But on the flip side, someone who can just sit, comfortably in that moment of silence, wow, that communicates incredible confidence. It shows you're not rattled, you don't need to perform. That stillness, that ability to just let a moment breathe, is one of the quietest but most powerful ways to show social confidence. All right, let's get into our final 2 skills. These are the ones that are all about leaving a positive impression that sticks around long after you've said goodbye. Okay, skill number 6. This one is what separates a forgettable, generic compliment from one that a person will literally remember for years. I'm not talking about basic flattery like, hey, nice shirt. I'm talking about complimenting someone's character or the way they do something or a quality they have that most people just don't see. So, for example, the person behind this work tells a story of once telling someone, the way you explain complicated things makes everyone around you feel smarter. And that person was just blown away because no one had ever noticed or said that to them before. That's the secret. The real skill here isn't flattery, it's observation. You're paying close enough attention to see something unique, and then you're being honest about it. That combination creates this rare, valuable moment that really connects people to you. And that brings us to our 7th and final skill. Now, this one isn't just a technique. It's really more of a philosophy that makes all the other skills actually work. This is the whole goal. In every single interaction you have, your aim should be to make the other person's day, their invisible weight, feel just a little bit lighter. Not by doing some grand gesture, but just through your warmth, your genuine interest, and by making them feel like their presence really mattered. So, we've just walked through 7 really powerful skills, but let's boil it all down to the one core idea that ties everything together. Because at the end of the day, it's not really about being smoother or wittier or more impressive. It's actually something much, much simpler and way more profound than that. And there it is. That's the secret. The most attractive people aren't the ones who are the most impressive. They're the ones who make other people feel good about themselves. That is the whole game. So let's try to put that into practice. For just a moment, forget about trying to be attractive. Instead, just ask yourself this. How can you use one of these skills to make someone you talk to today feel seen, feel understood, and feel just a little bit better? Because that, right there, is where the real magic happens.